Guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to address a video that has been really kind of heavily requested over the last few weeks since the launch of the P760. A lot of you guys have asked us to maybe do a little direct comparison, test the similarities, maybe talk to some of the subtleties between them.
Yep, so I think this obviously being one of your best sellers ever.
I think it's
over the past little bit.
It's definitely been the best selling iron in the store for 2018.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of different fitting centers and retailers would probably agree with that.
Ticks a lot of boxes, that's for sure.
So maybe, I mean, Taylormade obviously did their research and thought, okay, there's obviously a category of people that aren't going for this.
Yeah.
And that's got to be where this idea came from. Shorter blade length, a little more compact, similar kind of technology. And now you have a ton of people on the fence as to which one should I go with?
Yeah.
And what are the drawbacks of each? So the first thing that we've done, I think that we do quite often, is equalize the lofts.
Yeah.
You went ahead and bent them both to 29 degrees of loft.
Yeah.
And that's something that I guess we've enlightened people on a little bit, is when you go for your fitting is you need to ask about the lofts that you're testing between irons.
Yeah.
And I think most fitting centers, the higher end ones, do have the ability to bend lofts.
Yeah.
But maybe just don't do it as part of their process. So it's best for you guys to at least be educated and go and ask for that first and foremost.
Definitely, and the way we've looked at this today, we are literally just testing head to head. These irons are they have standard spec for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, this P790 standard loft is 26.5. P760 standard loft is 29.
Yeah.
There's a
big difference.
There's a reason those standard lofts are what they are. So when club designers are obviously designing the characteristics of the iron or the product in mind, they're thinking, okay, where are we going to place the CG location? How hot is the face? You know, all these variables that they throw into it. That's how they arrive at the standard standard loft in order to produce what they would consider to be a kind of stock trajectory for that club. So this will be really interesting to see how these two stack up, especially with a 2.5 degree difference in stock loft.
Yeah, which is tons. I mean, that's basically a club?
It's close to it.
Close to a club difference?
That part of the bag, I mean, you know, I think the difference between 5 and 6 iron is 3 degrees of loft on both sets. So it's pretty much in that region. 2.5 is pretty much there.
Okay. We're not going to talk too much more about it just before we hit, but I think one thing that's kind of come up a lot is if you weaken this loft, is this now a playable iron for the person who was hitting it too hot before with the stronger lofts? Or is this going to be a better option that's already at the weaker lofts and we know that it doesn't have speed foam in the shorter irons? You were saying earlier you think it will probably come down to more forgiveness than anything else, but...
Yeah, well obviously with 760 you've got 3 iron through to 7 iron with speed foam, with progressive amounts of speed foam. So the longer irons have more, and then it kind of reduces as the blade gets a little bit narrower.
Right.
You know, P790 has a little bit more forgiveness in it, no question. It has a little bit more, actually has a little bit more technology in it. So it will be very interesting to see how they stack up at that exact same loft. You know, we, in our test of 760 when it first came out, we were really impressed with it.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
The softness that it has versus the slightly firmer feel, you could probably say, that 790 has, has been a real plus point. I was talking with one of our team the other day, Mike, down at the Burlington store, and you know, he was texting me asking, he's like, what do you think of P760? And I could kind of tell that he was a bit excited about it. Yeah, because you know he's kind of almost kind of teeing it up that way. And I was like, listen, I love it. He's like, yeah, he's getting unbelievable results with it as well. Yeah, really likes it. So it'll be interesting to see how this comes out.
Okay, let's start with the big guy.
Okay, so we've got it hole number 12 at Pebble Beach. 208 yards, Matty. You've got about... Let's see, you've got 199 to carry the front edge.
Right.
20 feet downhill.
All right.
You've got that in the locker.
We got that nice little easy shot to start. Went a little safe side.
Yeah, I like that. Very good. Sounded a fraction low and toy.
Exactly. That's more solid, but
Okay.
still on the chicken side of the pin.
Oh,
Whoa!
that was a little.
That definitely had some heat on it, didn't
roasty
it?
one, wasn't it?
Yeah. We're shortcutting a bit, but this has got to have more offset than the 760 to some
It does,
degree.
yeah, it does. It has half a millimeter more.
I mean, it sounds like nothing, but is
Is
it nothing?
Yeah, no, you can definitely see
It's
a little
appreciable?
difference.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll use it as an excuse anyway. That's better.
That was nice.
Should be pretty
I know
centered.
we are a little downhill here, but these are out the gate very
It's coming out
quick,
good, yeah.
isn't it? Very quick. 130 is fast.
It's a little toey. It's
Trajectory's nice though, Matty.
yeah, you certainly don't lose a ton of them. That's not going to quite make it, but not losing a ton on a miss hit so far, are we? So that's low on the face.
Okay. Definitely came out with that lower trajectory.
Yeah.
I mean, say what you like about, certain technologies that, Taylormade have had over the years. There's no question for me that the sort of speed slot in the bottom definitely makes a difference
On the low strike.
those low strikes.
Yeah.
It definitely does.
That had a lot of ball speed for what felt like a pretty crap hit.
It really retains a lot of ball speed.
All right, let me give you one more good one. I'm going to try to offset it a little bit and not draw it so much. Yeah, like these are hit well. I just tend to put a bit of draw on them. But that was hit pretty solid.
So one that was a fraction on the short side, but other than that, pretty consistent in the ball flight little draws.
Yeah.
Not overly low in spin.
No, and I should say not well hit. I mean, I didn't hit those great.
Yeah.
But definitely got away with the low strikes. Maybe not so much in the toe. That would be the only one that maybe wasn't the most forgiving.
Yeah.
But the low end of the head, as you say, is still get. I guess is that technology good at retaining? I guess the launch angle and the spin when it's hit low and the ball speed.
Mostly just the speed.
It's mostly the speed.
Yeah, mostly still the speed, just to sort of make sure that you get the face flexing, so you're not hitting it in such a rigid part of the head.
Yeah, you feel that to some degree because normally a lower strike will feel quite firm, I guess, quite hard with vibrations. I didn't feel that quite as much as I would with my own irons.
All right, Matty. So we've got the P760 now. Noticeable differences for you straight away? Blade length?
Blade length is the one that I
biggest
noticed.
one?
Yeah, much shorter.
Okay.
Offset-wise, I guess you're probably right. It's not a big difference, but you
Fairly
notice.
minimal.
You see it a bit, though.
Yeah.
I think blade length would be what most people would look down, and probably if you're a better player, that's probably what you're looking for. Probably looking for a shorter blade length, I would assume.
Yeah. Yeah, most people quite like a compact. Better players certainly look for that.
I was trying to get a little more brave. Go down the left a bit more. Too much. Hit that good, though. Just left it open a bit. Solid.
Sounded like your best one so far.
Yeah.
It was excellent. Really nice.
Hitting them one after another, it's funny. I don't think the feel is as drastically different as I thought previously.
Is that right?
Yeah. After
Between
hitting it,
760 and 790?
to be honest, though, that last one that was solid felt kind of very similar to one of the other ones I hit.
Right.
It's a little thin. Again, I kind of looks like I'm going to get away with it.
Yeah, big time. It's identical to the previous one that was really well hit.
Yeah, pretty similar. Kept the ball speed.
Definitely looks a little bit more consistent for you, this one, which is interesting.
So far, would you say the fact that I'm turning this one over a little bit less, maybe due to less offset, is pointing to the differences in ball flight, a little more spin and such?
Yeah, I mean, perhaps.
Face angle difference?
It definitely looks like you're not, I mean, we're literally using the exact same shaft,
everything else.
exact same spec. And this one definitely is more neutral in flight for you, isn't it?
Now, is the size of the head and the shape of the head, does that make the P790 easier to draw, or is it not enough?
If you want to really theoretically say, does a wider body anything make it rotate more? It does. It definitely does. If the club is deeper front to back, that will have an impact on rotation.
I mean, center of the green versus right side of the green. It doesn't take a whole lot to make that change in terms of face angle.
When you look at the comparison, I mean, we'll get obviously deeper into the test, but when you look at the comparison and dispersion, it's meaningful.
For sure.
If the numbers all kind of shake out to be the same, and we're left with two clubs that kind of that's the difference. Well, the blue one's obviously significantly better if we see that being a consistent flight.
Unless you're a player that misses with a fade, and then I guess the fact that it turns over a bit more would be good.
Yeah. Sounded really
nice. That hit really nice, yeah. And the ball flights are so similar when hit
those last three have literally landed within 2 or 3 yards of each other.
Yeah. That's pretty good too.
Yeah, I mean you're very comfortable with these right now.
Whoa. They're not shorter, that's for sure.
No, it's very interesting, just to see some subtle dynamic loft differences.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the loft is being represented by the rotation. Right. So you've obviously got, one that closes more than the other, which is going to bring that loft down a little bit. So you're just subtly different. Swinging at exactly the same speed on average, efficiency is exactly the same. I'm obviously always looking for how consistent we can keep these ball speed numbers.
Yep.
P790 for you, Matty, was hopping around an awful lot.
Right.
I think it's a very, very interesting set of results. Do me a favour. Let's go back and hit P790. I just want to be sure that that's as concrete as it looks on there.
You'd have to say, though, so far, if you look at that set, if Taylormade was looking at those numbers and knew we had equalized them, they'd probably be fairly happy to see that.
Yeah, they probably would, wouldn't they?
It's got to be what they were intending.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good point. It's easier to match to a player's profile if it's as simple as, if you need a little bit more, if you need the face to square up a little more rotation, go with this. Okay, piece.
I'll be curious how these will now feel going back. Now I've gone back and forth twice.
Yeah, I'm just very, very curious about this flight.
Okay, it was a little thin, but pretty good.
Sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
A little straighter this time.
So it kind of felt like it was going to curve right, but I think because it was thin, I kind of straightened it out.
Okay. Maybe, maybe kick the spin up a fraction on that one, just being a hair thin.
Right. Okay.
Little gear effect.
So that's the one that I just didn't feel like would happen with the other club. Not a bad swing, but I just feel the face closed a little bit.
The long right miss for you is not a good one, because if you are bringing that ball speed up, spin rate down, what was the backspin on that one? Yeah, 5,000. Not ideal at all.
Yeah.
For you to do that.
So it's just a question of how much it's getting the face closing versus 760. It's a subtle difference. Is that 1 degree more closed?
Yeah, 1 degree more closed on average.
Okay.
Okay, interesting stuff.
Yeah, really.
I think that was fairly conclusive, the differences between the two heads for you.
Absolutely.
So from a feel perspective, if we can leave the results to sort of one side for now and just the player experience, how would you summarise it?
So I've obviously hit both of them quite a few times, but I've never hit them both back to back. I don't think that feel-wise they're quite as different as I originally thought.
Interesting.
They were. Yeah, I don't think they are.
Yeah, because the first time you hit that, I remember, we both thought it sounded really soft, and you thought it. I mean, I remember bending it to your spec, going, "Holy moly, this is seriously soft."
I mean, as you've said many times, it's very subjective. So maybe someone else won't agree with that, but I think that the most telling ones were ones that I really struck nicely in the middle. They just both had a very similar feel, and to be honest, I was surprised how much this one felt like P790. Kind of had that kind of jumpy, hot feel where you feel a bit of the hollowness in the club head. Low strike, definitely a little bit softer. So I would assume that the speed slot thing must be contributing to that versus this not having it. But I don't think it is as much of a disparity as I initially kind of thought when we tested these on their own.
There definitely isn't, and going over to the results now, there really isn't much of a difference. I mean, we were less than 1 mile an hour difference in ball speed. We were exactly the same launch angle. The P790 had 270 RPMs more spin.
Right.
That's all in face rotation.
I was just going to say, so
that's all that is.
You could almost, if you took these results and showed them to someone, say, these are the same golf club, but one time the person drew them a bit more and one time they didn't. They're basically the same.
Yeah.
It's just a face angle difference.
They're basically doing the same thing.
That's interesting.
Lots and lots of carry. Now that's probably a little bit exaggerated
with
carry
downhill,
for you with the downhill.
Yeah, 100%.
So probably for you that'd be sitting right around the 200 carry mark. Ball speed numbers are good today, 137 on average. Good.
They're both really good.
Both performing really, really well. I mean, I think it's comes down to kind of, we said at the top of the episode, do you need the forgiveness? Do you need a little bit more of a neutral head for you to be able to shape it? There's a couple little subtle differences. You've got a bit more of a pre-worn leading edge on P760.
Yeah,
you just see the subtlety to that. So just a little better turf interaction.
And you're a big fan of that.
Yeah, I just think these things help players with the quality of the striking subtly, but they do help. I just think there's a little bit more for the better player in P760. I think there was some initial concerns about the iron. I mean, some people weren't in love with the look on the back. I don't hear anyone talking about that anymore.
Because I think everyone's seen it in person.
Yeah.
The pictures, I think, were not flattering pictures. They just looked kind of plasticky.
That's right.
But when you see them in person, it's
just fine,
it looks
isn't it?
great, yeah. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, so there's the little kind of summary, guys. One is for the slightly more advanced iron player, and one is for the player who's seeking a little bit more forgiveness. I think that's the beauty of 790. It has been all year. For the mid to higher handicappers who strike the ball fairly well, they get the aesthetically pleasing looking 790, but it's so forgiving. It has so much speed all across the face. And building inverted cone technology into an iron, into an iron that has this kind of profile is exactly what it, that does. Really thin face, all these sorts of things. Speed foam, speed pocket. It's packed with technology, so that's why that's the forgiving option. And then obviously 760 has some more progressive attributes, more speed foam. Slightly bigger head in the longer irons, progressing down to the one-piece head in the short irons.
Yeah, and that's the question the last thing that I was going to ask you is, in the shorter irons, people are curious how these would probably differ from P790s. Now, we don't have a full set to test, unfortunately, but these are obviously a little less forgiving in the short irons because they get narrower, they don't have any speed foam in them, so your miss-hit performance is going to be a little bit more punished.
That's right.
But it's more of a playable iron for someone that likes to hit different shots.
you have to ensure that you're finding the centre of the club with
from
that
8
one.
iron down, right?
Yeah, in order to not see some variance in your distance control, which is where it really matters in the scoring clubs. So, yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing. How is your ball speed retention on miss hits?
Awesome.
If you drop off too much, then it's probably a 790 for you rather than a 760.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Guys, I hope this kind of answered a few of the questions that you had with regards to the similarities of these two irons. I think they're both great in their own right. It just depends really what you need, and you have to kind of analyse your game in an ideal world. Get out and give them a try, put them head to head yourself and see what you find. Obviously, get yourself fit, match in with the right shaft, right loft, lie, length, weight, all that sort of stuff. We know that by now. Those are all the things you have to take into consideration.
Very good.
Excellent. Guys, we appreciate you watching. Leave your comments below and we'll see you again soon.